movers, welcome back to Moving with Meaning, the podcast where actions have meaning, words have meaning, and we open up the conversations to discover what's your next move. I'm your host, Krystal. In today's episode, we're going to shed the enigma around the weight we carry. But you know how it is and what we do. We need to set that thing, so let's go ahead and do that. The word of the day is untangle. Not to be confused with entangle. This is to go from a state of confusion to one of clarity. Ever find weight loss or gain incredibly confusing and daunting? After all the macro counting, food weighing, meal prepping, and workouts, are you getting the results you want? Or you are seeing the changes in your body, but your nutritional health isn't passing any tests? That's enough of me talking. How about we introduce our guest? And there's no one better to do that than ourselves, Lea. Why don't you give the people a bit of background about yourself and what you're going to share with us today?
That was a beautiful introduction. I love the word of the day. That's so cool. Well, my name is Lea Dombrowski. I'm a holistic health coach and nutritionist, and I really specialize in helping women lose weight. But typically the women I tend to work with are somebody who also has a deeper imbalance at play, whether that be PCOS, autoimmune conditions, maybe some gut issues, hormonal imbalances, just something deeper at play. Because what I do is I take a blend of nutrition, fitness, lifestyle changes, and functional medicine to really help people in like a more holistic way, so they're not only able to lose weight but also overcome any imbalance they do have. But yeah, I work with a lot of women in the weight loss space in particular are with like gut imbalances. So that's a little bit about me.
For sure. You know what I thought was really awesome about you was you're a youngin'. Like, let me just go ahead and put it out there. You're a youngin'. So how old are you and what inspired you so early to kind of take this bad boy on?
I know, I get a lot of people who tell me I look like I'm in high school, which I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm like, I'm 24, I'm a 2000s baby. Yeah, I feel like my whole life I've kind of been on this journey, and obviously it took me a long time to kind of figure out the basics of it, and I'm so excited to continue to learn and grow and learn everything possible about this field. Being so young, I have so much time, which is something I'm grateful for, but I definitely have started my own health journey at a very, very young age. Literally, when I was born, I started having some issues. I had chronic infections the whole first year of my life, and I was on antibiotics the whole first year of my life. Kind of off of that, growing up, I was constantly getting sick with infections, strep throat, tonsillitis, like ear infections, like you name it. I was constantly getting sick all the freaking time, a few times a year at least. Again, just being on the chronic antibiotics and being raised with a lot of the processed food diet, cereal, Pop-Tarts, the 2000s foods that we all know and love. Kind of growing up in that way, it just really took a toll on my own gut health. And at the age of 19, 20, that's kind of when things started hitting me in the face. So I had a lot of bloating. I had chronic fatigue that was so bad that I could barely function. I was so tired. I had horrible brain fog and I couldn't sleep. So I just didn't feel good. And I had a lot of things that were popping up in my health. And I, at that time, went to so many doctors because I do have a mother who works at a hospital. So she is all for the conventional medicine route and kind of the medications and the antibiotics. So going through that route for 3 years and getting absolutely dismissed, like I hear so many other women tell me and telling me that it's normal and there's nothing wrong with me and that it's just something I'm gonna have to live with and, oh, freaking well, and it just was super frustrating. After like a few years of going down that rabbit hole, I was like, okay, well, obviously these people are not going to help me. I kind of have to figure this out on my own. And that's kind of when, TikTok was kind of a new thing. Everything was kind of on the internet, which I'm very grateful for. And I kind of deep dove into nutrition and fitness and lifestyle and started making tweaks in my own body and just absolutely fell in love. That's kind of when I started getting my own certifications and doing really deep research about these things, learning about functional medicine, and actually was able to heal my own gut. So I was able to send my autoimmune disease into remission, like totally clear off all the brain fog and bloating that I was experiencing and learn about my body, which is something I'm very grateful for. And it's just kind of a full circle moment now that I kind of am a coach and do it for other people, because I hear the same story like mine over and over again of people who have no idea what to do. And for me, it's so frustrating because it really did take me actually getting my own certifications and going through the weeds to heal my own body. And I don't want anyone else to have to deal with that. So that's kind of what got me into being a coach and loving what I do, is because I'm just so passionate about educating and helping people not feel freaking overwhelmed because I felt sick for so long.
Yeah. I think it's cool, though, that you don't have to do it alone either, because we all been there where we're by ourselves. So now you have someone that kind of walk that walk with you and share all the emotional turmoil that you're going through and the second guessing and all the things that you mentioned that you went through by yourself. But it's like, I can share that with someone who can relate. Now, you mentioned gut health, and I think everybody got gut health, but I remember when we were talking and I was like, yeah, I heard like gut health helps contribute. Like, oh yeah, like 100% of the time everybody's gonna have, you know. So for me, okay, I am not to get graphic, but I'm pretty regular. I was growing up, and I believe when I got girl, I'm drawing a blank, but it's in college. I had to be like 21, 20 or something like that. I got real irregular and I freaked out for that. It has just been like a spiral chain, and I'm like, man, like how much fiber do I have to eat for me to get back regular? Because it's not easy. It's not easy to find foods that are high in fiber without taking those supplements, because then when you take the supplements, it's like, oh, you got to drink all the water with it, you know, to make sure that it doesn't backfire. What are some like lifestyle changes that you could give to some of the folks to kind of help improve gut health?
Are you talking about constipation in general or just anything?
Yeah.
Okay, constipation in general. So, I mean, constipation, there's going to be probably two things that are going to cause constipation. Number one is going to be, you know, obviously lifestyle and nutrition, which you were mentioning, like eating enough fiber, drinking enough water, getting movement throughout the day. Like these are all things that can affect constipation, is when you're not getting those things in throughout the day. And I can kind of give tips for that. But the second reason would be some deeper imbalance. So some deeper gut health issues. So like you mentioned, if you're eating all the fiber and you're doing all these things right and doing all these tips, then there's probably something deeper at play that is maybe something with your gut that's not properly digesting your food, or not actually kind of bulking up your stool in some way that's kind of causing these digestion issues. And that can be a lot of different root causes, which would be more of the functional medicine approach. But that's more for like the people who nothing's working, like you mentioned. But for the people who maybe just need some lifestyle changes, because constipation is something common if you're not having the right nutrition, I always tell people, like, you're gonna want to, of course, eat the fiber, and typically like 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day, and you don't have to rely on supplements. I know people don't like it, but like beans, a cup of beans is 10 grams of fiber, and like there you go, that's a lot. Edamame, like chickpeas, like there's so much food out there that has high fiber that you don't have to stress, because a lot of people, when they're trying to get fiber, I see them reaching for things like broccoli or veggies, and veggies do have fiber, but not a lot. So if you're really struggling with that fiber, you're going to want to grab foods that have a higher fiber content, like beans, like edamame, even apples and pears are pretty high. So just being smarter about your fiber choices. Second thing that I like to tell people is there are tools that you can grab at the store that can be helpful. I'm not a fan of laxatives. They're not great on your gut. They're not a Band-Aid approach, but there are more so natural things you can use. So aloe vera juice is nature's laxative. If you take about like a teaspoon of aloe vera juice every morning on an empty stomach, that's going to help get your bowels moving. There are also some foods I really enjoy. There are kiwis. Kiwis are really also nature's laxative. Dragon fruits, specifically yellow dragon fruits, and prunes. Those are the three foods that I would also grab in addition to the aloe vera juice. Now, if you really do need that extra support, a really good supplement you can grab is magnesium citrate. Magnesium citrate is going to help bulk up your stool and get things moving. But I would try kind of the aloe vera juice and the foods and the fiber first before kind of buying a supplement. Of course, water, moving, and fiber, all those things are important, but those are probably the biggest lifestyle tips. And like I said, if none of those work, I would definitely look into the root cause functional medicine aspect of the constipation.
For sure. I didn't even think about aloe vera. I feel like aloe vera is like the cure-all for every dang thing. Like burns. Every time something happens, I'm like, go snap one of them leaves off the aloe vera plant. Oh man, I didn't think about that. That's pretty cool. All right. Another sign to gut health is acne. Is that right?
Yes. A lot of people don't think about
What? Tell me. Yes, girl, tell me.
I always tell people, like, they get surprised when I kind of say stuff like that. It's like everything is gut related. So even things like constipation, insomnia, fatigue, skin issues, eczema, acne, autoimmune diseases, diabetes, all diseases start in the gut. And the gut is connected to absolutely everything, even your mood and anxiety. That could be gut health related as well. So if you have some sort of gut imbalance, I would definitely look at the gut, because acne is a huge one. A lot of people experience acne and eczema and rashes and edema, or like all these things that people talk about, arthritis, and that can come from the gut. Typically when I hear that, I have some bells in my head from the functional medicine side, because I know those can be, especially eczema, can be a huge sign of mold toxicity in the body. So for skin issues, typically you're going to want to look at a functional medicine approach. But also, again, there are lifestyle things that can cause acne. But if you have like eczema, arthritis, that's definitely something I would take a deeper look at from the functional medicine side of things. Of course, nutrition, like food intolerances, stuff like that can cause acne. But typically, if you have really stubborn acne and you're like an adult and you're not going through puberty, it's going to be some of the functional medicine side of things where you're going to want to take a look at your gut.
Yeah, I would not relate that to gut. That's so cool. So you mentioned PCOS. Is that part of the whole diet culture? Because I know, and the reason I'm saying that, I know a lot of people who either had really bad cramps, like growing up, or they developed PCOS or what have you because they were trying to conceive, and then they realized that, or they're struggling to lose weight. That would be one of the symptoms, would be PCOS. What goes on with PCOS? And then you mentioned also that it's hard to diagnose.
It is hard to diagnose PCOS. And the reason that it's hard to diagnose PCOS is from like the endocrinologist and the doctor side of things. It's kind of a last resort typically. So typically a lot of people will not get diagnosed for years, which is super frustrating. It's hard to diagnose because basically the doctor has to rule out everything else in order to diagnose it. So obviously, yes, you can get blood work done. They go based off symptoms, and then there's the ultrasound. Those are like the three ways that PCOS gets diagnosed. It's just hard. It's because they really want to check all the boxes, because they're not like a test that's like, okay, yes, they have PCOS. It's really symptoms like blood work and ultrasound based. But the thing that I really don't love about the ways that doctors kind of look at PCOS is just the lack of education they give their clients who get diagnosed with PCOS. I think PCOS, from my perspective, is probably the number one thing I see in my practice nowadays. It's very, very common, and that makes sense. But what people don't know is that PCOS is a form of insulin resistance. So insulin resistance is typically what's going to cause PCOS to kind of develop in the first place. And when you go to a doctor, the only thing they're going to give you is a medication. But for PCOS in particular, you can really see such a big difference from lifestyle and nutrition alone, because insulin resistance, the thing you're going to want to support is your blood sugar. So balancing your blood sugar through diet, through lifestyle, and not through like metformin. I know that's probably the most common one people know. Again, all these medications, they're not getting to the root cause. It's just kind of keeping things at bay. So it's not actually solving what's causing your PCOS, what's causing any other symptom in the first place. So that's why I always recommend more so the root cause approach to actually be able to heal it, because I've worked with many women with PCOS who were able to send it into remission or really, really manage it where they don't even notice or have any symptoms anymore, just through the diet and the lifestyle alone. And like I said, blood sugar, that's going to be huge for PCOS. So if you can do anything else, I would kind of really prioritize that. And a really quick tip I can give for blood sugar is the nutrition. So I would really, anyone, not just people with PCOS, but prioritize including a fat, a fiber, a carb, and a protein source at every single meal. This is going to help slow the spike of blood sugar spike, and it's also going to keep you much fuller for longer. And a lot of people with PCOS want to lose weight. So that's also a really great tool to keep you full, keep you satisfied, and then help the blood sugar as well. So that's like the one basic tip I can give. Obviously, there's a lot more when it comes to the blood sugar, but focus on that one is going to make a difference for sure.
Fantastic. This is so cool, because we're starting off with some heavy hitters. You're coming out with a bunch of stuff. I'm like, okay, she knows what she's talking about. I knew you did. I mean, I'm shocked. It's not like some of the stuff you're telling me I've never heard before. So this is so cool.
It's frustrating that people don't know about this. We really should.
Yeah.
Like, if you have PCOS, your doctor should be telling you what the heck is going on in your body. It frustrates me that people come to me and they're like, what? Like, my doctor never told me that. And I'm like, they really should. Like, that's their job. But no, that's just not. So I was like,
oh, man. It's cool. It's cool. I'm already thinking about going to I'm looking up a functional medicine for my daughter. She has eczema, but you mentioned puberty, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I don't know if it's too soon. That's what makes me get nervous because I'm like, is it too soon?
I would.
How do I know it?
For acne, that might be different. For eczema, I would. Eczema, not 100% of the time, but eczema is usually comes from mold, and mold is a very, very, very common. That's a big root cause I see all the time in my practice. It can come from your house, it can come from food, it can come from the environment. It's all over the freaking place. And when you have mold, that's what kind of causes a lot of the skin issues and also a lot of allergy issues. Those are kind of two big ones I see with mold. Also, like fatigue and brain fog. So those three are like the biggest symptoms of mold. That's typically when I hear people have one of those three symptoms, my head just goes to mold. But obviously I would want to see blood work, would want to get testing done to be 100% accurate. But for eczema, that's one that I would take a deeper look at.
Okay. I was quiet for a second because I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, okay. So let's get into because we're going to talk later. So let's get into the untanglement of weight loss. Your frustration with this is through the roof, and I could sense it a mile away. So why do we overcomplicate weight loss? Or what is the overcomplication of weight loss in your opinion?
I think it's really easy to overcomplicate anything, and that's just human nature. But I think for weight loss in particular, it's just two things: the lack of education and social media. Social media, I'm sure anyone who wants to lose weight, who goes on Instagram and TikTok, just gets bombarded with diets, with this, with that, with like all this freaking information. And it's kind of like, of course, there's good and there's bad information on social media. I'm not saying it's all bad, but I think just that's what causes the overcomplication of things, is just all this freaking diet culture. And I know a lot of even like people who are a little bit older comes from like, that's the beginning of diet culture, was about 50, 60 years ago. So a lot of people who are 50 and 60 just have such a huge gap of lack of education, where they think weight loss is some complicated thing. Now with the internet, it's like getting blown out of proportion, where every time I'm on Instagram nowadays, I see a new diet, I see a new supplement, I see people talking about Ozempic, I see all this freaking things that piss me off. And I'm like, can we like just make things simple for people? Because I hate to say this, and I get a lot of hate for it, but weight loss is simple, and it's just people overcomplicating it and confusing themselves and going through extreme measures that makes it hard. But the basics of weight loss is simple, and that's always what I'm trying to educate people on, and educate the people who come through my doors. Like, it is simple. It is the little things. You do not need to do keto. You do not need to intermittent fast. You do not need to go on Ozempic. You do not have to go carnivore and all these freaking diets out there. Like, you don't need to. Like, those are just things that people made up. The basics of it isn't complicated. And I think people are just very overly restrictive on themselves and kind of put so much pressure on themselves because of society and like the standards that people kind of push onto, especially women, to look a certain way and be a certain way, that we just kind of freak out. And I don't blame people at all. I don't. It is scary, and I've been there. Like, I've had my own issues with weight. That's kind of why I'm so passionate about it, because I'm like, I do want to make it as simple and as sustainable for people as possible.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Yeah, you mentioned one of the changes is mindset changes. Give me a little bit more background on that, some detail on what you mean about that and how that's so effective.
I think the whole mindset thing is that, especially when I talk to older women who kind of come from the diet culture where all these diets were kind of even being created, like they're like, oh, when I was growing up, everyone was doing intermittent fasting and keto, and like they were just kind of raised this way where their mindset is very much one way. And it does take me a lot of education to kind of get them to even be open to making some changes that would actually help them to lose weight. And the biggest example I could say about this is going to be when it comes to diet culture and older women, even younger women. I see a lot of 20-year-olds with this issue. It's going to be a metabolic issue, because a lot of people who kind of grew up with the diet culture and the restriction have been under eating and undernourishing themselves for so long because they think the only way to lose weight is to eat one meal a day or to never eat a carb a day in their life, have unfortunately slowed down their metabolism, because what happens as human beings is that when we do not get enough nutrients, our body goes into a state of shock. People know it as starvation mode, but it is called metabolic adaptation, where your body just freaks out and it just starts holding on to fat. And a lot of people get uncomfortable symptoms here too, like constipation, bloating, hair loss is a big one I see, fatigue, because the body just, when you're not getting enough nutrients, you can't digest your food, you can't have energy, you can't do these things. And this is where the metabolism issue comes. And a lot of people experience weight gain or hit a plateau. Your body's freaking out. So of course it's going to cause weight loss resistance. That's the typical thing I see. And what I have to educate people on is that your body is smart. Your body can absolutely speed up your metabolism. You can absolutely overcome that plateau. It just takes doing the right things, eating more, but doing it in the right way that's going to support your body so your metabolism can build up and get to a place where you can lose weight, where you can feel better. I know it's a lot for people to kind of comprehend. That's kind of the biggest misconception I see, is the whole you cannot eat and you have to starve yourself to lose weight. And I think that's the biggest example I can give that's just causing a lot of metabolic damage that I see, at least.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, I had a high metabolism as a kid. All right. And then as I started to grow older, and then it was after I had my first child, and it like slowed down dramatically. I've never been able to get it back to where it used to be. So then I was like, oh God, I have to completely change whatever I was doing before. I just get into this tailspin because I'm trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
I remember asking you, I think you mentioned, it was like, there's no silver bullet to this. Everything is unique to that person or customized to that person. So tell me a little bit about your process and how you customize your experience with each one of your clients and create that plan for them.
Good question. I do want to address one thing you said though, before I do that. When you said you have a high metabolism as a kid and then like at 30 it slows down and people crash. A lot of people, I know I get hate for this too, but a lot of people like to blame metabolism. But the reason your metabolism slows down is because as a kid you were active, and as an adult you sit down all day.
Yeah.
So if you kept moving and you kept up the right nutrition, your metabolism would not slow down as you age. And that's what I'm saying to people, is you can rebuild it, not to the place where it was where you were 12 years old. I'm not saying that, but you can build it up to a place that is not slow.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, your body is smart. Like, as a kid, you're obviously burning more calories because you're moving all day long. And as an adult, you're not. So if you start moving more and you start having the right nutrition, you can absolutely build it up again. So just a little caveat there. But my process with clients is, of course, unique because everybody's different. Everybody's body is different, especially with the functional medicine piece. Everybody's root cause to what's going on in their gut is going to be different. So it really does take me looking at a person. I want to know about your lifestyle. I want to know about your diet. I want to know everything about your life, like, and kind of the purpose of holistic health. And the reason I call myself like a holistic health coach is because I'm not just going to look at you right now. Like, I want to hear your story. Like, I really want to get to know you and see where you're at now and what we can do, because that's how I'm going to best help you. If I don't know you, I don't know what your nutrition is like, I don't know what your lifestyle is like, I can't really help you. So I always start my clients off with the nutrition analysis, which is like, okay, let me see where you're at now. Let me see what you're eating, where your metabolism is at, kind of what's going on there. And then from that like analysis, and I have like a check-in process and like an intake process, then I kind of make protocols from the nutrition and the fitness and the lifestyle piece. And then the functional medicine would be, of course, like blood work and testing. So everybody's different, and I've never made, a protocol that looks exactly the same, but it does a lot of the same basic things, of course, just dialing in nutrition, giving the fitness, giving the lifestyle changes to help people. Like you said, everybody's so different.
Well, that's good. I mean, I like the personal touch that you add to this. I mean, it definitely shows that you care. I think that vibe definitely comes through. I mean, it's coming through to me, and we're just chatting. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
I tell you what, do you have any golden nuggets that you want to leave the people with from our conversation today?
Oh my God, I have so many. I mean, I could go on forever and tell people. I think anyone who kind of relates to me and my story and kind of walks through my door, like I always am telling them, like, hey, the things you were experiencing, like, yes, they're very common. Bloating is common, weight gain is common, but these symptoms you're feeling, they're common, but they're not normal. There are things you can do about it. Your body is smart. Like I've said a million times, like you can absolutely change things. You can heal. Like your body is resilient. Like people are so resilient, and I've seen some beautiful transformations outside of my own. Even me, like I literally couldn't function. There was a time in my life I could not function. My thyroid was going down with my Hashimoto's, my autoimmune. I felt horrible, and I came from that and healed my body to a place where I feel good. And like anyone can do that. It just takes the right support. If you are having these symptoms and you're getting dismissed like I was, please keep advocating for yourself. Like you know your body better than anyone. It just like my heart goes out to people because it was horrible. And I just deeply love people and understand their pain, and just hearing that like, hey, it's going to be okay. And there is answers out there, I think is just so relieving.
Very good. Yeah, that's the bounce back from the holistic coach. Here we got you going on today. That's the episode. Let me tell you, I have been on that roller coaster ride of weight loss and gain. And well, I guess in some cases I'm still on it. Every year I do my annual physical, and despite great marks on my weight, I have a laundry list of other improvements, such as get my cholesterol down, get my vitamin D up, build more muscle in my legs, and so on. The challenge is to not look for a silver bullet, assess your health to identify any underlying issues, and create a plan that works for you. That's why I appreciate Lea for sharing her personal journey and strategies to untangle the web of weight loss to a more simplified and streamlined approach to holistic health. Have you gone through similar trials? What strategy have you used to uncomplicate your health inside and out? I love it all, and so will someone else. Before I let you go, Lea, why don't you go ahead and remind the people who you are, where they can find your resources or reach out to you?
Yeah, so the best place to reach me is probably Instagram, but I'm pretty much everywhere. TikTok, YouTube, you can find me. But my Instagram is just my name, Lea, Lea_Dombrowski, DOMBROWSKI. And if anyone has any questions, my DMs are always wide open.
All right. If you contact Lea, let them know that Moving with Meaning, the podcast, sent you. I'll make sure to include all of Lea's resources and connections to the episode description, as well as on my website's resources page, movingwithmeaning.com. Make sure you guys subscribe to the show, Moving with Meaning, the podcast, and tap that alert bell so you know when these episodes drop. I am on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube Music. Please share, like, repost, and follow. Tag someone. We are creating a community. Quick housekeeping before you go. Follow me on Instagram at movingwithmeaning82 and on Pinterest at Arthur KB Clark. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn. I do dabble in TikTok at Krystal B. Clark. My Etsy store has some handy dandy digital downloads. Lastly, run over to my YouTube channel and have a look or two. Links are in the episode. Alrighty. I'm Krystal on Moving With Me in the podcast, reminding you to take it one step at a time. All moves have meaning. Check y'all later.